Hi and welcome back to a new video using Art Anthology products. Today I wanted to share a project with you using coloration spray a different way. Normally you use them to spray, or even if you just use the nozzle to sprinkle a little bit. And this time I wanted to try if I can use them for similar techniques that I use other products for. So I used a pipette, just sprinkled a little bit onto my craft mat and used some watercolor paper to just dab it carefully into the spray. And as you can see, it works. What I'm doing now is I'm creating two cards with two different shades of colors, and I'm basically using two coloration sprays each, and dab them in there and then heat set everything. So because it is way more fluid than if you would use like an ink pad or a powder and then add just a little bit water to it, it takes a little bit longer to heat set, and you have to be a little bit more careful to not burn your paper. But besides that, it works really well. And you can do the same thing, that you start with a light shade and then move forward to a darker shade and add more interest to the background. And as you can see here, I used the Avocado spray first, and then I added a little bit Clover on top, and I ended up having like a really cool looking splattered background for a card. And I'm doing the same technique for an orange colored background, and for this, I'm using the Timeless and the Juicy coloration spray. And again, I'm using my pipette to just get a little bit of that spray out the bottle and onto my craft mat, try to spread it out a little bit, and then dip my paper just slightly into it. And I try not to press it too hard onto the ground, so just that it's really a light touch to the spray. And then I heat set it again. Again with the lighter color first, and I do 2 layers with the lighter color, and then I add like a very light layer of the darker color on top of it, just to give it like a splattered watercolored look. And I love, you can see it here, and that is something that you get mainly because I heat set it and not let it dry overnight, that you get those specks in there. And I really love when this happens. I really enjoy those effects. Of course, because it's watercolor paper, you can let it sit overnight for each layer, but then you're sitting there for a couple of days. So just keep that in mind. So as you can see here, I'm just adding a few little splots here and there from the darker color. And then I'm done with the background. So you can see it's really a quick and fun technique to create something different using your, using your coloration sprays, or in general color sprays. And the longest part of the technique really is the heat setting, and that you have to be a little careful that you, as I said before, that you don't burn accidentally your paper. Happened to me with when I tried it the first time off of camera. So now I'm taking a stencil, and I wanted to try another technique using the sprays. You will see that it didn't turn out as I expected it to be, but I still like the effect. So it was still interesting to just try it. I don't know if I would do it again. So I'm taking again a little bit of the darker color for the orange, and I want to blend it using my makeup sponge through the stencil. And you see immediately that it's just too fluid and it seeps underneath the stencil. But I still love the effect, so I was peeking a little bit and I was like, oh, it's still interesting, because I just wanted to create a marbled effect for the colored background, because this is where I will layer my, my card base onto. So I just wanted to give it a little interest, that it's not plain orange or plain green, but that you just have like some specks in the background and just a hint of there's something going on, but you don't really know what it is. So because this is regular cardstock and not watercolor paper, I was a little careful with the liquid and heat set it immediately. And then I did the same thing for the green background with the Clover spray. So again, I'm using my pipette to just get a little bit of that spray out of the bottle, and then I'm using my makeup sponge to dab the spray onto the stencil. Again, it seeps through it, but it still leaves just on specific areas, it just leaves the coloration spray. By the way, I'm cleaning the pipette. I'm having some water on the side off of camera, and I'm cleaning the pipette just by getting some water into and spritzing it out 2-3 times, and then the pipette is clean and you can use it again for anything else. And you see here too, it seeped through, but I still like the effect because you can still see the areas where the stencil actually is, and you can kind of see the difference between this is the color where it's actually supposed to be and this is where it seeped through, so it still looks kind of cool. Anyway, Now I wanted to decorate the front a little more, so I'm taking the word stencil and I'm covering the areas that I don't want to use with just some regular Scotch tape, so I can really add some texture, and I'm using the lava stone effects here to add the texture just through the stencil, and that just helps to keep it everything in place and not have it too big of a mess on the actual front of the card. And that is rather quick. And I picked the words based on the sentiments that I picked from the small talk sticker sheet. And I basically will cut off that one word that I picked from that small talk sheet and then just adhere it together. I used the word art for the green card front, and I'm using the word wish for the orange, yellow-orange card front, and I'm doing the same here. So I'm covering again the areas that I don't want to have, where I don't want to have the stone effects paste going through. I'm just covering it with Scotch tape. Don't ask me why in this case I didn't use actual masking tape. I don't know. Normally I would actually use masking tape, but this time I just grabbed my Scotch tape and kind of intuitively did it. And I'm kind of lucky that when I removed the Scotch tape that the paper didn't tear apart. So that was a short moment where like afterwards I was like, oh God, what was I thinking? But it worked, so all is good. Now I'm just adding the little stickers onto my card front. I'm cutting them apart just because I want to scatter them around a little bit. And sometimes they don't stick very well, so I'm using just a glue pen to add a little bit more sticky to those stickers and make them last really long and for a long time. And as you can see, the first two still came off. The third one already decided, nope, I'm sticky enough, I stay there, so I left it alone and just left it there. And then I did the same for the Make-A-Wish card, but there I just kept the Make-A and adhered that on top of the word wish and was fine with it. So after I was done decorating everything on the front, I started to adhere them together, and I just used some regular Tombow glue, so nothing fancy here, to adhere those cards to the colored layer and then both together onto my card base. And I used a regular A2 size card base, which is 5.5 by 4.25 one size, and if you open it up, it's 5.5 by 7.5, no, by 8.5. Sorry, I'm not good with all those numbers. Adhere those together then onto the card base, and then just as a final stab, I'm adding a little shadow around the sticker words, and then I'm done with my project. I hope you enjoyed my project for today and feel encouraged to try using ink sprays or color sprays for other techniques than just spraying something or flicking some color onto something. I really encourage you to just enhance your supplies and try using them for something else. It's so much fun to try new techniques and then see amazing new results coming to life for this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. All the subscribes used are listed down below and over on the blog, so you can check that out too. And then I hope I will see you with my next video. Have a great day.